Book Dragons. It is your girl Lindsay here from the Spine Bookshop, here with another episode of the Spine Bookcast. And today we have the lovely author CK Madrid, who has written Glows, which is possibly one of my favorite book covers. It's so pretty. I love it. How are you doing today, CK?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for hanging out with us today on the show. Let's just kind of get into it. How did you get into reading?
Reading, well, my earliest memory, I mean, I was a big book lover, but my earliest memory was when I was in third grade, and the library installed a tree house, and it was two stories.
Oh,
And
wow.
we all, and only the kids that had a special pass got to go in the top part. And I'm telling you, I was a golden child. I was a golden child the week we had library because I wanted to go up there so bad. And I'd pick out
Nice.
my little book and I'd sit up there and read. And I was so proud. Um, and I just started, I was like, wow, this is really fun. And I mean, I know I read before that, but I really got into it when we got to go and sit up there. And The Wrinkle in Time was the book that I started reading over and over and over.
Such a good
And then
series.
by fourth grade, do you like that? Yeah, that's good.
Oh
And then
gosh.
the Boxcar Children,
Oh
I
yeah, for
love that.
sure. All of
I
those.
used to like when I was a kid, I used to like sit in my closet and pretend I was a boxcar child. Um, so I was went into fourth grade, and my teacher actually had to tell me to stop writing book reports because I would read so many books in one week. And she
That's
literally said to me,
hysterical.
she said, and I didn't understand. And then, why would she say that to me? I was almost hurt because she's like, okay, you've read five. You don't just do one. All you need to do is one book report. Because I was like, here's five.
That's
A little
my teacher in
overachiever.
high school would, when I didn't want to read one of the books on like the mandated book reading list or whatever, I was like, this book is boring. I don't want to read this book. She'd be like, all right, cool. Give me a book off one of these. And so it was usually the banned book list, which
Mm-hmm.
led into so much of what's gone on this week. So,
Oh,
um,
that's good. I didn't have required ones until I was like sixth grade. So I think that's probably better.
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. The whole, yeah, it's banned books are just it's ridiculous. So you mentioned um A Wrinkle in Time. Was that one of your favorite books, or did you have a different book that was one of your favorite ones?
I really liked Ruth Chu's No Such Thing as a Witch. And I think one of the reasons is because, and this sounds so silly, but the kids got to eat magic fudge, and fudge was my favorite candy. And so I
I
was like,
love
oh, I
that.
wish I could do that.
That's
I was like, I
hilarious.
want. Yeah, so I really got into her books. And then I love Nancy Drew. I love trying to
Oh yeah.
solve the mysteries.
See, I
Um,
had
yeah.
the Babysitters Club. That's what I was into,
Yep.
and the Sweet
Mhm.
Valley High, and of course we also
Mhm.
read the oh Flowers in the Attic. That whole series.
Yep. Yeah, I know the Babysitter Club. That I'm a little bit older than you, so I don't think they were around when I was little. But Nancy Drew sure was, and I read all of them, and
Oh
then I
yeah,
started reading the Hardy Boys, and I did not like the Hardy Boys as much because I was like, ugh.
boys are
I
sweet.
don't know, I could relate to Nancy better, right?
Oh
So,
yeah, for sure. So what are you reading now?
mhm. Sue, I the last series I read that I loved, and it's been I read unfortunately reread it like three times now, is The Hunger Games by
You
Suzanne
know that
Collins. I
that
just
book,
really
that first book is one of the most banned books in the last 10 years.
it's banned.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no
According
idea.
to the American Library Association, the 10 or the 100 most banned books in the last, I think, 20 years, it is number, hang on and I'll find it. But yeah, it's number 12 on the list.
Yeah, well, they clearly haven't read it because when I first heard the premise, I was like, oh, how terrible, children fighting
Right.
children. But if you read it, there's much deeper.
Absolutely.
Much deeper symbolism and things that are going on. Just how she really researched Rome and the characters and the glutinous nature of these people just eating and then throwing up to eat more, and just the abundance versus the others that had nothing in society. I was like, wow, there's so many layers in this, and the descriptions were so amazing. So I think it's more than just, yeah, okay, it's unfortunate that there were younger kids like out running around and killing each other, but I think, one of our, what's that book? I never liked the book, The Children That Get Stuck on the Island. It's
Oh, Lord of the
horrible. And
Flies.
yes, I hated that book, but it's a classic, right? And those are kids. Um, so I don't
I
know.
think Lord
I
of the
guess it's,
Flies shows that you can take even the most elite group of people that are supposed to know better and have been educated to be better, and you stick them on an island and they will revert to their base self that fast.
mm-hmm. Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's the whole point of that book is it doesn't matter who you are. It's
Yeah, I
I
agree.
love and I hate that book. Like it's a love hate book for me because
Oh,
it
I
is
just,
a
ugh.
necessary book to read, but it's also when they kill the kid with the glasses, the heavy set kid.
Porky.
Oh my,
Yeah, but I think it's Porgy or Porky. Yeah,
so
it's horrible.
mad. Yeah. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah,
So,
I know
ugh.
that one. I did like the Poisonwood Bible by
So
Barbara
good.
Kingsolver. Yeah,
That
that
one
was very
gets
good.
banned sometimes too. I've seen that on a banned book list.
What?
Yeah.
I must be a very rogue person. I didn't realize this. I'm reading all these
Oh,
rogue books.
well, so I went through okay, so we all know, we all heard what I did last week. And then, so I decided to do my research and I came home and I pulled the banned book list from the American Library Association, which is a much better, more reputable site than whatever crap the Rutherford County School Board is pulling from, but whatever. And I realized that I read probably, I think I counted 95 of the most banned books on this list, which kind of made me really proud of myself. And I immediately want to go
Yeah.
order the ones that I haven't read so I can finish the list. But some of them I'm just like, what? Why?
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, like Captain Underpants and Skippy John Jones. What?
Mhm.
Like, and they banned Wicked, and I'm sitting here going,
But
what?
it's playing in Broadway, and people can see it on the movie in the movie theater.
Beloved is a Pulitzer Prize winning novel, and they still banned that one.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's crazy pants.
yeah, the thing is that where do you stop? Like, and it's a lot of it's subjective too.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
get a group of like-minded people sitting together,
Mhm.
banning it, and then
Oh, yeah.
so that's, yeah. My thoughts on this. So
Oh, no, we've had long conversation about that. So, but is there a book, and I always like to ask this question because I always get a different answer every time. Is there a book out right now that hasn't been made into a movie or a TV series that you would love to read or see made into a TV series or a movie?
hmm. I I haven't read Blue Skies yet, but I've heard that I bet that would be really good.
That
Just from
by.
the premise of it. I don't know. Blue Skies. It's kind of like an espionage book, and it's about like environmental espionage.
Okay.
Like, uh, yeah. So I think that could probably be some type of movie. It just came out
Is that the
like
one
last
by
December. I saw it.
Martin, T.L. Martin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so that just recently came out, and I wanted to get it, but it was still hard copy. And I need to have I can't lug around a hard copy book. I wanted to wait until it came out in paperback, and I think it's now out in paperback. So
Yeah.
I want to read that, and that could very possibly be movie worthy.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Blue skies. I can't see your screen. Does it say blue skies on it? Is
Yeah,
it talking about
yeah.
economic? Yeah, then
No,
that
this
should be
one it looks like a love story. So
okay. Then that's probably not it.
Okay, I'll keep looking. But
Yeah.
TC Boyle?
Oh goodness. I don't know. I saw it at Barnes and Noble and I said, oh, I love, first of all, I love the title. I love the
Yeah.
title Blue Skies. And then I love the concept of kind of economic
Yeah.
environment. Sorry, it's environmental espionage, kind of like, because I
Okay.
can see that happening. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Mm,
Okay. Okay. So it's really interesting. And I was talking to somebody. So let's talk about your book for a second. I haven't read
okay.
it yet. It's on my list, and your book is actually our book club pick for November. So I'm really, really excited to
Correct.
read that one.
Thank you.
So your book glows without any spoilers. Can you give us a premise of what yours is about?
Yeah. So it's, when it comes down to it, it's good versus evil. A
Okay.
little light touch of magic, but no dragons or fairies or anything like that. But there is magic in it,
Hmm.
and it's a love story at the very core. So the way I wrote it, it has Skyla's perspective, and then it has Stefan's perspective. So boy, girl. And in
Okay.
this world, it's, have you ever seen the TV show Grimm?
Yeah, oh, I love Grimm. I watched
Okay, so it's kind
all
of
the
like
way the
that.
whole way through.
Yeah, I love that show. And so basically, it's the same premise: is that we humans, which I call normals in this book because that's what the glows call them, normals,
Okay.
don't know what's actually going on around us. And
Sure.
what's happening is the normals were kind of going astray. Divine power sends glows down to help them, light glows to help keep them in light, and they have a little bit of
Sure.
magic. They can do, some healing, they can help people. But then darkness is like, oh yeah, I don't think so. I'm sending my own form of glows down as well. And
Okay.
these light glows and these dark glows both have the same teal colored aura, so they
Okay.
can't tell each other apart. So
Oh
there's a
no.
battle not only up here in the glow level, but they're also battling down here for the normals to go on the right or left. And I have an aura scale in my book. And I don't know if you know, Lindsay, but the kids earlier this year were like, oh, on the aura scale, I'm this. I just laughed because I'm like, that's totally in my book. I have an aura scale, like you're 5+ pure light, and
I
you can
love that.
move on the aura scale towards darkness -5.
Okay.
So you go up and down the scale being persuaded. So they're going back and forth. So Skyla meets this guy named Stefan, and he's dark, right?
Okay.
So it's about her being pure light and in awe and wonderment of a new relationship,
Sure.
and her friend Loretta's like, hey, are you sure, are you sure?
Yeah.
And Stefan, it goes to his perspective what he's doing to try to turn her. He's seeing that she's actually a pretty nice girl, and he's like, and behind the background of Stefan's life, his mom is testing to be queen because the dark glows have the ability to do magic craft. Lights
Okay.
don't. And his
Okay.
mom has this ability. She's doing really well, and no one has succeeded so far to be able to do 3 master crafts. And if she
Okay.
becomes a queen, it's gonna sway. It's gonna sway the scale towards darkness,
Okay.
right? So that's kind of going on in the background, and the lights know this, and a battle is ensuing.
Okay.
So there's a huge plot twist. Things start to change. Everything gets turned upside down, and Skyla and Stefan basically have to. Everything's
Sure.
revealed about him, and they have to decide whether or not they want to work together. So
Is it going
that's
to be
basically,
like a series or is it going to be a one-off?
yeah. I'm already working on part 2. I
Okay.
can't even tell you the title because that would give it away what happens in
Yeah,
book
don't
one.
do
But yeah, there's going to be 3.
that. Okay.
So
I love
yeah,
that.
that's it. And then this cover, you said you like color. Thank you. That's the teal color of their aura, but my daughter designed it.
Well, I
She did the whole cover.
love that book cover so much. I
Thank
think
you.
it's gorgeous.
We
So,
originally had the auras as a lime green, and then
okay.
when it came out, we saw that it looked like a science fiction book, and I was like, let's change it to teal
Yeah.
because I
No,
still
I
I like
think,
teal
yeah.
better.
Yeah, I think lime green is just associated in general with science fiction at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never thought about that, but once I
Yeah.
saw it on the book, I'm like, oh, they're gonna think it's sci-fi. So yeah.
Yeah. So, How did you come up with this idea with the glows and the and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, I've probably been heavily influenced by Star Wars culture growing up. I
Sure.
watched every single Star Wars and good versus evil. And I always liked kind of that concept of good versus evil. But I also liked magic. And so I used to have to drive very long way to work. I had a long commute in my
Okay.
former job as a communications consultant in Germany. And you think the Autobahn would get you to a place quicker, but it does not because so many people get in accidents. And when there's accidents, they're really bad accidents.
Yeah, because they're going like
So it was,
9,000 miles an hour. I've been on the
it's
Autobahn and those
crazy.
things are
Yeah,
flying.
they're flying. So there's an accident every day.
Sure.
And it would take me some, an hour to 2 hours sometimes. So I was just sitting there thinking, like literally just thinking of a story in my head to kind of pass the time away. And it just
Right.
evolved. And every day I was kind of like, oh, what about this? What about this? And then I got my family involved. I'm like, what do you think of this character? And yeah, so just evolved over time. But it took me a long time. I mean, I would start this book about 10 years ago. I started it and then I'd stop and I didn't write it for like 2 years. Didn't
Okay.
touch it. I'd start up again.
Why?
And then COVID hit. Oh, I just got busy with my life because I had a full-time job. I was a mom. I, had things going on and it
COVID is something
was
else, dude.
COVID helped me write my book though. I suddenly had
That's
time.
fair. Yeah,
I
right.
finished my book. So, silver lining.
Man, I
Yeah.
thought I was gonna die during COVID because I'm an extrovert and being forced to sit in my house all the time. No, no, nope.
It was
That was
horrible. It was
driving me
absolutely horrible.
crazy. Oh God, it was
Yeah.
awful.
I lived in Germany right when it started in March, and it was a nightmare. Like you could not even go outside. They were so strict. You had to wear a mask even if you went in your yard. So I mean, it's so crazy. I felt bad for people who were in apartments. And so when there's like a tiny little sliver of a window in
Yeah.
July, we got the heck out of there. And I'm so glad we did because all the schools and everything shut down again in September and they didn't reopen again for another year.
I almost got
So
stuck in
I was glad to
England
come here.
because I had gotten my passport and was getting ready to get, book a flight to go over to England. And like 2 days later, England went into lockdown. So if I'd been in England, I
Yeah.
would have been stuck in England.
You'd have stuck. Absolutely stuck.
Like
Yeah.
stuck, stuck.
There was no flying. No one was going anywhere. Like it was crazy. No
Oh,
flights were going in and out of
God.
the countries.
That was
So
insane. And
yeah.
the whole just like I would go sit on my back porch and just be like, oh God, I can't even look at my back porch anymore. I'm so sick of looking at my porch. So I mean, it was awful.
Although I do say Tennessee wasn't so bad though, because when we got here in July, at least I came in here in July and the pool, I was like, what? The pool's open? I was so surprised. Like people were actually walking around. So they had masks on, but
Yeah.
like you could go to the grocery store. In Germany, you couldn't even do that without an appointment. Like you had to have it scheduled and you only had a limited time. And I mean, it was like freedom.
Oh,
So
my best friend Jess and
I
I basically started doing adult sleepovers just so that we could get out of our own houses. And like if I got sick of my house, I would put on a mask and I would drive over there and we became COVID buddies because the thought of having to sit in my house for one more day was enough to drive me insane.
yeah, I get it for sure. Did you work during that time? Like
I was
remotely or
working from home, so
yeah.
it just wasn't that big of a
Oh,
deal for me. And I
yeah, that's
didn't
good.
start my bookshop until after COVID was over. So,
Yeah, because I feel bad for all the businesses that had started right before COVID
oh
and then got
my
hit.
God, that I can't even imagine. And I know that
Yeah.
like hairstylists and restaurants and that kind of stuff, there are all these avenues to try and keep them still going, but I can't.
Hmm.
Oh God, that would have sucked so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been really hard. I know a lot of restaurants that went under because of it.
Yeah. So, what did you read any books during COVID?
Mm, I don't think I did. I was trying to get through, you're gonna laugh. I have a stack of magazines like Southern Living and
Hmm.
Style. I had all these magazines and love cookbooks and cooking magazines.
Hmm.
And I said to myself during COVID, because I literally transported them, put them in a box, and shipped them to me. And I'm like, I am seriously going to use this time, and I'm going to go through these magazines, and I'm going to
That's
read, and I'm going to
hilarious.
rip out things. And so I created this folder. I ripped out all my favorite recipes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
created this folder of my favorite things, and then I recycled all the rest, so
Love
I
that.
wouldn't ruin it. Like I can't have all these in here, but I want to read them because I've got them. So I actually did more magazine reading, and then I did my book. I was focused on my book, and of course, helping my kids with. I'm losing my voice. Helping my kids with their stuff. A lot of U.S.
Yeah,
history, a lot of Tennessee history. I
yeah.
was really getting into Tennessee history because I just moved here, so
Yeah.
I did read a lot about that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, you said that you've just finished the Hunger Games. What are you going to pick up now to read?
I think Blue Skies. I definitely
Yeah,
think I'm going to go get that, and I wouldn't mind reading the Scarlet Pimpernel again. It's been
really.
a long time, and I really enjoyed it, and I haven't read it in a while, and I'd like to see if I'd have the same kind of reaction to it today as I did when I
Yeah.
first read it.
Are you one of those people that likes the classics that we were all forced to
Mhm.
read when we were little? Like
Most of them. I
Wuthering
didn't like
Heights
it.
and all
I didn't
that?
like well, most of them. I didn't like the Heart of Darkness. I didn't like the
Oh, yeah,
darker,
that's
like
Joseph
really
Conrad. Yeah.
I didn't like the sad. I like the ones with the happy ending. I like the ones that were good. Like
Yeah.
or deeper, like a deeper
Hmm.
meaning, like the Animal Farm. I was like, okay, I get it.
Oh my
Like
God,
I
I
see what
just
happened
sold that
there.
book today. I just sold that to someone who's never read it.
Oh, okay. See, and that's a classic, but it doesn't really end happy,
Mm-mm.
but it's got a good message. So I liked the message there.
The one
Um,
book that's not on the banned book list that would you just made me think of it. Watership Down. That
okay,
book
yeah.
traumatized the crap out
I
of
didn't like
me.
that.
No.
I had to read that for school and I did not like it.
Mm.
I would not read it again.
Oh yeah,
No.
no, I read it and then the teacher got permission and showed us the movie and it traumatized the ever living crap out of me. Like it is
Oh no.
are one of these like the rabbits attacking each other. Holy
Yeah.
crap. Like
Yeah.
that is such, but I mean, it was a good way to, like, same thing with Animal Farm. It was a good way to explain communism and that kind of stuff. But dear God, it was terrifying.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But
Have
it
you read
never
Les
shows up on a
Miserables?
banned book list ever.
I wonder why.
I think people forget about it because I think they think of Animal Farm and then just skip right over it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Have you read Les Miserables,
Oh
the whole
yeah.
book?
Yeah, I read the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I love that too.
Oh,
That is long and hard to get through, but it was worth it. And I also liked the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I was so proud when I finished that last book. It
hmm.
took me forever to get through it, but I was so proud that I
I've
made it
read that
through.
whole series, including The Hobbit, and I probably will never do it again. And I acknowledge that it is a brilliant piece of literature, but it was such a
Mm.
haul to get
It
through.
was. It was
And like
it was a time commitment.
I talked about that with a couple weeks ago with somebody, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was David Martin, and we were talking about how there are some authors that will spend an entire damn chapter on like describing the mountainous range, or like in The Princess Bride, how he spends a whole chapter describing Princess Buttercup's dress. And I'm one of those people like, yes, mountains are beautiful, great. Moving along, what else is happening? Just
Yeah.
please don't need
Yeah.
a whole the mountains are gorgeous. They have trees and valleys and hills and okay, awesome.
Yes.
Plot moving
I
along.
agree.
So, and I mean, I get
I think
why, because David brought up the fact that, when they wrote those, they didn't have TV, so they had to be really descriptive. But
yeah, I guess, but
so,
doesn't work for today's audience.
no,
You got to be fast paced to keep the attention span.
And that's what
Um,
he said too, that like, and I guess I'm guilty of that because I give about 2 or 3 chapters, and if you don't get me invested within 2 or 3 chapters, I'm just not gonna finish it.
yeah,
I mean, I'm just
I
not.
hear you. No who has time. No one has time anymore. Everyone's running around. They're being pulled in 500 directions. So I get it.
There's just
Um,
so many good books to read too. I kind of feel like why would you, and I feel like such a jerk saying it, but why would you waste time reading a book you're not enjoying when there's so many other books out there that you might enjoy more?
have you read the Inheritance Games? Because I'd like to read that. It's
They're on
for a
my
younger
list.
crowd.
They're on my
Yeah,
list, and I have
I
them,
want to
but
read
I haven't
that.
read them yet, and they are on my list. My problem
Yeah.
is Annie, who's one of her authors, challenged me to read Fourth Wing, first book. So I read the first book. But then I needed a palate cleanser. So I went and I tried to work through the second book of the Crescent City series. But then I'm also trying to finish Donna's book for our book club tomorrow night. And then I've been listening to but the Percy Jackson series because my daughter
Oh,
likes
those are good.
them.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
I like those
There's
actually.
so many books. So many.
Yeah, I
And
totally
I
forgot
think,
about the Percy Jackson.
well, I'd never read them. And so
I
I
like
like
them.
the movies. My daughter hated the
Mhm.
movies, but now that I've gone back and watched the first season of the series, I'm just like, I don't like the movies anymore. That's not, so, but I'm enjoying it. But I mean, the first book for me is kind of a struggle to get through because it's just like, I already know the plot, but I'm gonna get through it because I
It's
want to
kind
get
of like
to.
I was thinking I might try. See, I've got also got a huge list.
No, me
I
too.
wanted to read the classic Scarlet Pimpernel, but I also wanted to read the Game of Thrones. I don't know if I can stomach the actual show. I've seen some clips, and I don't know if I can handle the violence. But if I'm reading about it, to me, it's different. If I can read about it versus seeing it,
Well,
I think I could handle it.
I tried to read the first book after I had already seen the first season, and I had trouble sticking with it. And from what I
Yeah.
understand, and you guys can tell me in the comments, I think they go off script at a certain point. And so
Hmm.
the books don't necessarily match what's going on in the movies or the TV show. So I mean, it might be good. I couldn't hang with it because it was just like, oh my God, I
Doesn't
already.
that drive you crazy? I read the Divergent series, and the first movie pretty on par. I'm like, yes, that's good. It's good. Then he goes to the next movie. What? What that didn't happen in the book? Like, what's happening? Third movie, completely different. Like, not even what's in the
My
book. Like,
husband.
what?
All right, so I'm going to take a quick break for our ads, and then
Okay.
I will come back to that question. Give me 1 second, and I will come back to that
Okay.
question. So it's 4:27. Gonna pause right here. Okay, and we're back. So, yeah, my husband is almost to the point that he will not go watch a movie with me if it's been based on a book because he says I have a sigh scale or whatever where like I'll cross my arms and I'll sigh and or like, ugh, really? And it's just because I'll have read a book and we'll go watch the movie, and that's not what he looks like. And did they even read that description? That's not what happens in the book.
Oh my god, I so do that too. I'm like, oh, he does not look like that. Why would they
Oh,
pick
it
that
drives me
person?
crazy. So, okay, so are you one of those people that when you read the book, it like plays out in your head like a movie?
Yeah, of
'Cause
course.
not everybody does that.
Oh,
There's
I
some
just
people
assumed.
that don't have the inner dialogue or inner monologue in their head. So they're reading it and they hear silence, which I think would
Hmm.
drive me insane because there's
No, I totally
serious
see. I like
dialogue in that.
imagine what they look like. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm exact like you. And then I see the movie and I'm like, what? That's not
So
how that person would
we
look.
went to go watch what is the one? It's set in North Carolina and now I can't think of it. And it's about the girl who Oh God, I'll think of it in just a minute. But Jess and I read the book, and I saw they were doing a movie, which is what prompted us to read the book. And I remember thinking, this book is so friggin' beautiful. Like the writing was
Mm,
beautiful, the scenery was beautiful, the story of this girl growing up in the swamp by herself and navigating her this life for herself was such a beautiful story. And then they made the movie, and I was like,
mm.
no, they're gonna mess this up so bad. There's no way. So we went to go watch the movie, and I will say I was absolutely floored at how good a job they did. And I kind of
Really?
think of what it was.
Okay.
I'll think of it in just a minute. Where the crawdads? Where the crawdads? Where the crawdads sing?
Oh, where the crawdads sing. Yeah.
Yes. I love
Okay.
that book so flippin' much. Oh my
I
God.
have that on my bookshelf.
Oh, you've got to
I
get
haven't
it.
read it, but I have it on my bookshelf.
It
So,
is
so I guess I should move that up.
beautiful. And so
Okay.
when we went to go watch the movie, I was absolutely terrified because I felt like protective over the story. Because it's a
Hmm.
beautiful story. And I thought the casting was perfect. Absolutely
Yeah,
perfect.
that's really.
I felt like, okay, these people actually love this book and understand what they're trying to do, and they did such a good job. I was so proud of them. But then
Yeah.
there are books where, like Beastly, which is a teenage retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and that's not even
Hmm.
my favorite fairy tale. But I will tell you, I read the book and then I watched the movie, and I tell you, I think the movie did a better job telling stories than the book did, which I had never
Yeah, the one
said in
about
my life.
the School for Good and Evil, I think it did that too.
I
I
couldn't
think the
get through
movie is
the
far better.
book. I
Yeah,
tried.
the movie was better than the book for sure.
Really? Okay. My
So
daughter and
yeah,
I both tried to read that series, and it was just like, this is dumb.
yeah, they did an okay job with that. I had the same feeling. I didn't really get into the book, and then I saw the show, and I was like, okay, the show's all right.
I
So my
think
favorite.
that's it. Go ahead.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I was gonna say, who did an amazing job with the casting was the Harry Potter series.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Snape, come on, he was perfect.
Oh,
Like
we
I
just
couldn't even
need
believe it. Like,
we need to raise our wand to McGonagall because we were recording this podcast on the day that she passed away, and
I know. Yeah, I know. She was amazing.
do you know that
Yeah,
she filmed
amazing.
one of those movies the whole way through? She was going through cancer treatments. And then,
What?
yeah, so they said, and I can't remember which film it was, but one of the films, she found out she had cancer. And so they offered to like recast the role or something so that she could go through and do her cancer treatments. And she said, absolutely not. So there are scenes with her where she's sitting there holding a newspaper. And
Hmm.
from what I understand, the newspaper was being held up this way to hide the cancer treatment that was in the IV bottle, and she didn't want the press getting wind of it. So she was sitting there reading a newspaper with like the medicine that was in so that nobody the press wouldn't release it. And I
Yeah,
just
I had no idea.
Maggie Smith, just hurts my heart.
Yeah, and I had absolutely no idea she had cancer.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
The first
But
time I
that
ever
was
saw
one.
Maggie Smith was in the Clash of the Titans, which is that really awful stop motion movie with Hamill and the automatronic the clockwork owl and all. Oh God, such a
No,
terrible
I don't
movie.
know that.
Have you
I don't
never
know that.
seen it?
No,
Oh my God, it
I'm
is
guessing. Glad I haven't.
the quintessential bad, bad like
We'll see. Well, why
God's
would I want to see
movie.
it then?
Because it is a masterpiece. It is
Masterpiece of
so,
badness.
but I mean, I love awful movies though. But it was a staple of my childhood. Clash of the Titans is amazing. It's got the whole Percy story with Medusa and release the Kraken, and that's what that's from. Is
Oh, wait a minute. Percy Jackson? That's Percy Jackson film that I have seen that.
but it's like
Yeah,
from
when
the
he like
80s.
yeah, okay. I think I have seen it with my daughter. I didn't put two and two together that it was a
Yeah.
Percy Jackson, but I do remember Medusa. I thought it was funny. when he went into the garden and then Medusa was there. Is that what you're talking about when they go and
No, no,
then
no,
it's
no.
Medusa? I thought it was
So this movie
okay.
is from like 1984 or something like that. And it's got Harry Hamlin in it, and he plays
Okay, then no,
Percy.
I didn't.
Yeah, it is
No,
an
no.
old movie, but it's so
Okay.
freaking good, and I love it so, so much. And it's so cheesy. Oh my God, it's so cheesy. But yeah, I love
What
me.
other what other movie do you think they haven't cast well?
So Cassandra Clare's books, that whole like City of Bones series, they
Mm.
jacked up the movie so bad. I don't know what description that they had in their heads, but what they cast is not what's in the book. Like, mm-mm, nope. The minute I saw
That's
Jay,
good.
I just was like, he does not look like a heroin addict. Why is he so thin? That's no. And her hair is blonde. Ugh. And then, so when they were, and that's one of my favorite series. If I ever met Cassandra Clare, I'd probably throw up because I have every single book that she's ever
That's
written.
a good. That is good. It's a good
Yeah.
book for sure.
Well, and then they did the TV series, and I thought, okay, they have a chance to get it right. No, I got about
No,
2 episodes in and went, yep, nope, no, thank you, not for me. Y'all still haven't gotten it right.
didn't even
So,
know that. I didn't know they had a TV
oh,
series.
it's
That's good to know.
so
Thanks for the heads up.
awful. The guy that they have cast, and it's just awful.
I
It's
say the
just
Hunger Games, they criticized Jennifer, I can't remember her last name now. It's not coming to
Lawrence.
Lawrence. They said that she was not thin enough because Katniss Everdeen should have been thinner, right? She was starving. And probably true. I didn't even really notice, to be honest, until they actually said that, like she should have
But
been.
notice they don't say
Right.
that
Yeah.
about any of the guys in that movie because they should have been thinner too. But oh, God
Yeah.
forbid. God forbid.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that that's a
Exactly.
thing in Hollywood still. You would think that would be better about that. But man, they love to critique women in Hollywood. Oh,
Oh
she's
yeah.
too fat. She's a size two. How much thinner do you want her to be?
Yeah.
Then you get
Exactly.
some women that are so thin, it's just like, do you want a hamburger? Billy
And
can
you forget
have
that
it.
the camera puts on 10 pounds and they're still thin. You're like, well,
Oh
how
my
thin are
God.
they for real?
Like
Like they
I
must be like a pencil.
I just
Yeah.
can't. And I wanted to be an actress when I was younger, and I just think back to like I'd have never would have made it. I like food way too much. I mm-mm.
Me too, especially
I
chocolate.
would have cocked way too much of an attitude. No, I really wish that the whole City of Bones series, I wish they could get the casting right, and I wish they'd stop um changing the storyline. Because the thing is, there's a prequel series called Clockwork Prince, Clockwork Princess. And
Hmm.
there it's like the prequel series. And there is, I don't want to say it's a throuple because that's not what it is. But you have a woman and the two best friends who are boys, and she falls in love with one of them, and then he ends up, humanity wise, he ends up dying, but the other boy isn't. And so years or centuries later, she ends up being with the other one because they're the two survivors of and so it got so
Hmm.
much, and I was like, I think that's beautiful. I think that just, it was
Hmm.
a beautiful story about just love and time and relationships and how things change. And I but of course if they make it, they won't cast it right because they haven't cast the TV show or the movie. And I know some people love it. I'm a purist. I can't
Hmm.
stand it. Which
What about
film
the
have you
like?
watched that you think
Okay.
they cast wrong?
Well, okay. Well, I don't know about casting. The Divergence one was the one that kind of irritated me the
Oh
most.
my
Let's see
God.
if we're
They don't even
just
know
because
what,
that
I don't
one's
even
so
know what
off
movie they
script.
did. That I After the first one, I'm like, do y'all even read the books?
Yeah. The first one was okay. I did not picture the lead character as her. I was like, okay, all right. I guess I see that
Yeah.
maybe, but I did not feel like they cast that correctly. Um, hmm, I'm trying to think of what I mean. I know there's been a couple that I was just like, no, this is, and I've just probably gotten up and walked away. So because I
I
don't,
will
it
tell
really
you,
bugs me that
I
much.
walked out of Romeo and Juliet with Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio. I got up and walked out because I don't really like
Wow.
that play anyway, but I didn't like this trend that people were doing at that time where I call it MTV movieing up something where they make
Mm,
it all like hip and like they had all the current lingo and I mean they used the wording from Shakespeare, but all of the character costumes and the way they cut scenes in the film were very
modern.
rapid fire, and it was so jarring for me that I couldn't sit and get into it. And I just was like, this sucks. I hate that movie. Oh my God. And no slant to Leonardo DiCaprio or Claire Danes. And I think the cast was great. I just think that the way they cut the film and edited it was so jarring that it was hard for me. I can't watch this. It's gonna make me so mad.
Did you see Bridgerton?
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with Bridgerton. I went out and bought all the books.
Yeah. I have not read any of the books. I was just curious if you thought that they were in line with the books and the
I
characters.
hadn't read the books yet, but I now have, and I so here's the thing that cracks me up. Okay. So I went to go get all the books. And I don't like
Mhm.
books where you've got the movie or the TV covers. I want like, give me the original.
Yeah,
They are
I got
all
it.
like bodice rippers. The old covers that I got are all of these like Kroger store bodice rippers with Stephen Gissens and the throbbing manhoods and the Fabio with the hair and I when I first saw it, I was like,
Awesome.
what the hell? These are bodice rippers. Oh my God. They're the covers that we made fun of in the 80s, and that's what I had.
Yeah,
And now it's this whole thing on HBO or whatever. This is hilarious. It
yeah.
cracked me up. And so now I'm even more excited about reading them to see
I'll
just,
be curious.
yeah, how cheesy they
Yeah.
are.
Not only cheesy, but how much liberty did Hollywood take in
Oh,
changing the characters to fit Hollywood? I don't know, but I highly doubt that she, or when she wrote this, that she would it pictured like Taylor Swift being played in symphony in the background, like
no, I know.
you know what I mean?
Well, and the other thing too is I personally am very happy with the inclusivity of the different races and different
Yeah, that doesn't bother me
characters.
either.
No, but I do know somebody who absolutely despised it because they said, well, they just wouldn't do that back then. Yeah, but it's historical fiction. Well, that's just not
Yeah,
accurate. Who cares? Which goes
yeah.
against the very thing that we just said about casting. But, I
No,
mean,
and this it's almost like tongue in cheek. I
yeah,
mean, you got to take it lightly on because when you've got a lady with a fishbowl in her hair, you can't take it that seriously, right? They
no,
are just so over the top in the outfits, and,
I
and the
love
the
that
music is
so much
literally
though.
Taylor Swift, and I mean, it's literally done tongue in cheek.
And I
Honestly, I
totally
don't think they're
downloaded
trying to be.
those albums. I have all those
Yeah,
albums on Apple Music. I've been listening to all those after the second season when I realized they were doing that. I was like, that's so and so. What is that is
yeah.
a holy crap. And I now have all four seasons of on my Apple playlist because I'm like, I love that they have a modern song done as an orchestra song. It's so cool.
But it would be curious to know, like, is the book just like normal characters, and then Hollywood took it and like, let's make this,
I'm gonna read
or
the
was it
first
always
one
kind of over the top?
and I will tell you because I'm gonna
Yeah,
blow through that first one. So,
just curious. Yeah,
oh
it's
yeah,
I think they did a fun job. It's fun. They're getting more and more over the top at every season with the
oh
costumes,
yeah.
but
Well, I think that's so funny that when I was younger, like, middle school, they I think they did hold actors and actresses to a set standard, but it's not quite as religiously pretty as it was maybe back in the 80s. And like, for example, and I love Henry Cavill, and anybody that knows me, Henry Cavill could break me like a glow stick and shake me all over the place, put me in traction in the hospital, and I'd be like, worth it. But then you look at Christopher Reeve from the 1980s, who still looked like a brick, house, like built, but it's not the same kind of built. It's not the same kind of
Mhm.
muscular. It was a different level of attractive, muscular built, bodies. And you look at women back then versus now, it was not the same polish. And I think it's really interesting to me to see the trend between books and movies as it's gotten more, as I've gotten older, that they have to have this polished quality that they maybe didn't
Yeah.
have, back then. So, and I of course always love the weirdos like Jeff Goldblum. Give me all of that weird, awkward crap. I'll take it. Christopher Walken, I'm all about it.
Oh, really? Oh, I could not. Reservoir Dogs. I had nightmares after that movie. You watch
My
that?
God, I love that movie so
Oh,
much. That
gosh.
one song, Stuck in the Middle with You, I will never hear the song ever the same way ever again.
Oh my goodness.
I've seen all of his movies. I really want to go in to Quentin Tarantino's like record collection because some of the songs that he puts in movies have been so good that I have immediately gone and hunted down the album because I want to listen to it. Because I'll be watching a movie. What the hell is that song? I got to figure out what song that is. Just I want to
I that
peruse
was another
his
one.
music collection. Well, it's
No, I had a
supposed to
hard
be
time with
gross
Bill.
and offensive. Like
Yeah,
all
I
of
know.
Quentin Tarantino's movies are that way. And I think after well, so Reservoir Dogs came out first and then Pulp Fiction, right? Isn't that the
Yeah, yeah.
and so, but I saw Pulp Fiction first and then watched Reservoir Dogs. So, but I think the people who really liked his movies, I think kind of got into that expectation of, okay, this is the kind of filmmaker that he is. And so
Hmm.
same thing with like Stephen King. Going in to read Stephen King, it's going to be kind of horrific and creepy and,
Hmm.
kind of, there's going to be an ick factor there.
Oh yeah, The Shining. Oh wow. That that was my first scary book I read, and it impacted
Salem's
me.
Lot. Salem's Lot messed me up so bad. And I have gone back and read it probably 10 times. Love that. Love that book. It, oh my God, creeps me out every time. But yes, The Shining is right up after there. It's just both of them. Blah.
Hmm. What other one did I read by him? Oh, something with the dog, that Cujo.
Cujo. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love, and I think that Stephen King is the same, and it's the same way with Stephen Moffat with Doctor Who. They take these totally innocuous things like weeping angels and dogs, and just, oh, you really like these things? Here, let me mess that up for you really good. Clowns. Let's just make clowns
Oh,
the basis for every nightmare you will ever have for the rest of your life. You
yeah.
know. But I love that about books though,
Hmm.
because books, I think, give you just a really random escape sometimes when just the world
Hmm.
gets too loud. You can just,
Yeah.
I'm going to go over here and read about Jaws. I'm gonna go read about magic. I'm gonna go read about werewolves. I don't want to deal with that crap anymore. And I think that
Yeah.
that's the universal thing. Music and films, books, like arts, the arts. And every time I see some kind of article about this, oh, the school program of the arts, we need to, decrease the budget of the arts. I'm like, and I read a quote that said, I want you to take every single film, every single piece of music, every single piece of art, every single book, anything that is of an artistic value, away from you for 48 hours and see how long you survive without absolutely losing your mind. I would not make it 30 minutes
No,
because I always
not in
either
our
have
house.
music on or the TV on or a book on me. There would be no way.
Mm-hmm. Not in our house either.
You're right.
Yeah, my
Well,
daughter's always got her face.
oh, I know. Well, CK, we are almost out of time. It has been an amazing time chatting with you. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the Spine Book Cast.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Thank you, Lindsay.
You're so welcome. All right, you guys, you can get CK's book Glows by CK Madrid at the Spine Bookshop, and we definitely make sure you get it for November because she is our author of the month for November. Bye, you guys.